The Velthari had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. They were tall, elegant creatures with silver skin and eyes that glowed like dying stars. Their empire stretched across 400 worlds, and every species they had ever met had bent the knee to them. Some fought, some begged. In the end, all of them served. High Arbiter Kethvoran stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Judgment, and watched the blue planet grow larger in the viewing screen. His officers moved around him with quiet efficiency. This was routine for them. They had done this many times before. The species calls itself human, his science officer reported. They have primitive nuclear technology, basic space travel limited to their own moon. Their world is divided into many nations that fight among themselves. Kethvoran made a sound of amusement. Divided. Fighting themselves. This will be simple. The invasion fleet consisted of 12 warships. It was more than enough. The Velthari had conquered entire star systems with less. Their ships were beautiful things of crystal and light, powered by technology that these humans could not begin to understand. They arrived without warning. One moment, Earth's sky was clear. The next, 12 alien vessels hung above the planet like silver knives. Every television screen, every radio, every phone on Earth suddenly showed the same image. Kethvoran's face. People of Earth, he said in a voice that their translation systems made cold and flat. I am High Arbiter Kethvoran, of the Velthari hegemony. Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender all weapons. You will submit to genetic cataloging. You will provide workers for our labor forces. You have 72 hours to comply. Resistance is not possible. Resistance will be punished. The transmission ended. Across Earth, there was chaos. Governments held emergency meetings. Militaries scrambled jets that could not hope to reach the orbiting ships. People ran through the streets in panic. Others prayed. Some simply stared at the sky and waited. Kethvoran was patient. He had done this before. The first day, they always panicked. The second day, they argued among themselves. The third day, they surrendered. It was always the same, but the third day came, and Earth did not surrender. Kethvoran was surprised. He checked the translation systems to make sure the humans had understood his demands. They had. He watched their news broadcasts and saw their leaders giving speeches about resistance and freedom and fighting to the last. He found it almost sad. They did not understand what they were facing. They need an example, he told his officers. Choose a city. A large one. They chose Mumbai. It was one of the largest cities on Earth. Over 18 million people lived there. Families, children, workers going about their daily lives. People who had done nothing wrong except exist on a planet that the Velthari wanted. The orbital strike lasted 30 seconds. When it was over, Mumbai was gone. Not damaged, not burning. Gone. 18 million people turned to ash in half a minute. The Velthari weapons left behind only a crater of melted glass where a city had once stood. Kethvoran broadcast again. This time, he showed them the crater. He showed them what was left of their city. This is the price of resistance, he said. You have 24 hours. The next city will be larger. He ended the transmission and settled back in his command chair. His officers congratulated him on the successful demonstration. They began taking bets on how long the humans would take to surrender. Most guessed a few hours. None guessed more than a day. Across the galaxy, the other species watched. The Galactic Council, a gathering of the elder races who had long ago accepted Velthari dominance, observed the conquest with mild interest. They had seen this before. The Dreth had resisted once, and now they were servants. The Morkai had fought bravely, and now they were slaves. The humans would be no different. Ambassador Yeel of the Consortium, a four-armed being who had lived for 300 years, watched the footage of Mumbai's destruction. He shook his head slowly. Another species broken, he said to his aide. The Velthari are efficient, if nothing else. The humans seem primitive, his aide observed. They did not even have shields on their planet. It does not matter if they are primitive or advanced, Yeel replied. The Velthari are too strong. These humans will learn their place, just like everyone else. On Earth, the survivors of Mumbai's neighboring regions were pulled from the rubble. The world watched in horror. Leaders who had spoken of resistance went quiet. The militaries that had scrambled jets recalled them. What was the point? Their weapons could not even scratch those silver ships. In the United Nations building, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered. They were supposed to discuss surrender terms. They were supposed to save what remained of their civilization by giving in. But something strange happened in that room. No one spoke of surrender. Instead, they spoke of revenge. The Russian representative stood first. They want us divided. They expect us to break. I say we give them something they do not expect. The Chinese representative nodded. We have underground facilities, deep bunkers, places they cannot see from orbit. The American representative leaned forward. We have scientists, engineers, and we have 18 million reasons to make them pay. By the end of that meeting, something unprecedented had happened. Every nation on Earth had agreed to work together. No more borders, no more old hatreds. Just one species, united by grief and rage. And then Earth went silent. The Velthari waited for their surrender. They waited one day, then two, then a week. Their sensors showed the humans still moving, still alive, but no transmissions came. No white flags, no begging. Kethvoran was not worried. He assumed they were simply taking time to accept their fate. He ordered occupation forces to land and begin establishing control. He had no idea that beneath the surface of that quiet planet, humanity was building something terrible, something that would soon teach the galaxy the true meaning of the word brutality. The humans were not surrendering. They were preparing, and when they were ready, the Velthari would learn that they had made the worst mistake in their 10,000-year history. They had attacked Earth. They had killed 18 million people. They had made humanity angry. 6 months passed, and the Velthari grew comfortable. Their occupation forces had landed on every continent. They built control centers in the ruins of major cities. They set up collection points where humans were supposed to report for cataloging. Their soldiers walked the streets with weapons drawn, expecting trouble. But the humans did not fight. They shuffled to work. They kept their eyes down. They seemed broken, just like every other species before them. Kethvorn received regular reports from his ground commanders, and all of them said the same thing. The resistance was minimal. The humans had accepted their fate. He believed them. Why would he not? This was how it always went. What Kethvoran did not know was that the humans had learned from watching his forces. They saw the sensors the Velthari used. They understood what those sensors could detect and what they could not, and they used that knowledge. The humans had not stopped communicating. They had simply stopped using anything the Velthari could hear. Messages were carried by runners who walked through sewers and tunnels. Orders were written on paper and burned after reading. Scientists talked face-to-face in rooms lined with lead and concrete, rooms that no alien sensor could penetrate. Beneath the surface of every continent, humanity was working. Admiral Chen Wei-lin was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. Before the invasion, she had commanded a submarine fleet for China. After Mumbai, she had become something else entirely. The United Nations of Earth had chosen her to lead their military, not because she was the strongest or the loudest, but because she was the most patient, and patience was what they needed. She stood in a bunker 300 meters below the Swiss Alps. Around her were the leaders of humanity's secret war. Scientists from every country. Generals who had once been enemies. Engineers who had not slept in months. "Show me the progress," she said quietly. The main screen flickered to life. It showed the ocean floor off the coast of South America. There, hidden in the darkness of the deep sea, something massive was taking shape. A ship, not elegant like the Velthari vessels. This was ugly. It was made of welded steel plates, salvaged nuclear reactors, and pieces of crashed alien technology that human teams had recovered at terrible cost. "We have 47 vessels ready," the lead engineer reported. "Another 30 will be complete within the month." "Weapons?" Another scientist stepped forward. "We have successfully merged our ballistic systems with captured Velthari energy technology. The result is crude, but effective. Our tests show it can penetrate their hull plating." Chen nodded slowly. "Crews?" This answer came from a tired-looking general. "We have volunteers. More than we need. The training program has an 80% fatality rate due to the acceleration requirements. Those who survive can function in conditions that would kill normal humans. 80% fatality rate. 8 out of every 10 volunteers died just in training. And still, more volunteered every day." That was what the Velthari did not understand. They had killed 18 million people in Mumbai. They thought that would break humanity's spirit. Instead, it had created millions of people who did not care if they lived or died. They only cared about making the enemy pay. Chen walked to a different screen. This one showed maps of every Velthari occupation center on Earth. Red dots marked each one. Ground forces, ready. We have teams positioned in tunnels beneath every major installation. They are armed with conventional weapons, explosives, and improvised devices using captured alien components. Casualties estimates? High. We expect to lose 60% of our ground forces in the first wave. Chen closed her eyes for a moment. 60%. Millions of soldiers, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters. They would die. She knew that. They knew that. And they had accepted it. She opened her eyes. And the cities? In the cities? The room went quiet. This was the part no one liked to talk about. But it was necessary. The Velthari had built their control centers inside human cities. They used the civilian population as shields, knowing that any attack would kill innocent people. If we cannot liberate a city, Chen said slowly, we will destroy it ourselves. We will not leave them anything to hold over us. A younger officer looked troubled. Admiral, the civilian casualties will be remembered. Chen cut him off. Every single one. We will build monuments. We will speak their names. But we will not let the enemy use our own people against us. If they think hiding behind civilians will protect them, they need to learn otherwise. This was the decision that would later horrify the galaxy. Humanity was willing to kill its own people rather than let them be used as leverage. It was brutal. It was terrible. And it was absolutely necessary. The months of preparation continued. The Velthari remained blind. Their sensors showed a quiet planet. Their soldiers reported peaceful streets. They had no idea that beneath their feet, an army was waiting. Human scientists studied every piece of captured alien technology. They learned how Velthari shields worked. They found the weaknesses. They built weapons specifically designed to exploit those weaknesses. Their approach was not elegant. It was not sophisticated. It was simply effective. Meanwhile, the Velthari ground commanders grew lazy. They stopped sending regular patrols. They stopped scanning for tunnels. They believed the war was over before it had begun. One night, Admiral Chen gathered her command staff for a final meeting. The maps showed everything: the hidden fleet, the tunnel networks, the positions of every enemy soldier and ship. Tomorrow, she said, we remind the galaxy that humanity does not surrender. We do not bow. We do not break. She looked at each face in the room. These people knew they might die. Many of them would die. But there was no fear in their eyes. Only determination. They killed 18 million of us, Chen continued. They expected us to cry, to beg, to give up. She smiled, and it was cold. We are going to show them what humans do when we are pushed too far. We push back, and we do not stop pushing until the enemy is gone. The officers stood at attention. No one spoke. No one needed to. 6 months of silence was about to end. And when it did, the Velthari would understand that they had not conquered humanity. They had only made humanity ready. The counterattack was coming, and it would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The counterattack began at exactly 6 in the morning, Earth Standard Time. It began everywhere at once. In Moscow, the ground beneath the Velthari command center exploded upward. Human soldiers poured out of the rubble, firing weapons that screamed with stolen alien energy. The Velthari guards barely had time to react before they were cut down. Those who tried to surrender were not given the chance. In Beijing, tunnels that had been dug over 6 months opened, like wounds in the earth. Soldiers emerged into the streets, moving in perfect coordination. They had trained for this in the dark, in silence, until they could fight blindfolded. Now they put that training to use. In New York, what remained of the city erupted in chaos. The Velthari Occupation Center was hit by explosives from below, from the sides, and from teams that had hidden in the ruined buildings for weeks, waiting for this moment. Across the planet, the same scene played out. Every installation, every command post, every place the Velthari had built their control was attacked at the same moment. The aliens had no time to warn each other, no time to coordinate, No time to understand what was happening. And then, the human ships rose from the oceans. Kethvoran was on the bridge of the Eternal Judgment when the first reports came in. He did not believe them at first. Ground installations are gone, he repeated, staring at his communications officer. What do you mean, gone? Destroyed, High Arbiter. All of them. We are receiving no responses from any ground unit. Before Kethvoran could process this, his sensor officer spoke up, and his voice was shaking. High Arbiter. Ships. Ships rising from the planet's surface. Hundreds of them. The viewing screen showed the impossible. From the oceans of Earth, ugly metal vessels were climbing toward space. They were nothing like Velthari ships. They had no grace, no beauty. They looked like they had been welded together in the dark by angry gods. Because they had been. Those cannot be military vessels, Kethvoran said. Look at them. They have no shields. Their hulls are primitive metal. They are launching weapons, the sensor officer reported. Hundreds of missiles, and they are moving on intercept courses. High Arbiter. They are coming directly at us. The first wave of human ships reached the Velthari fleet in less than an hour. The battle that followed would be studied by military historians across the galaxy for centuries. The Velthari fired their elegant weapons. Beams of light cut through space, slicing human ships apart. The first human vessel to die exploded in a ball of fire, then the second, then the third. But they kept coming. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. For every missile the Velthari shot down, 10 more were launched. The human vessels did not try to dodge. They did not try to retreat. They flew straight at the enemy. Commander Javier Santos was piloting one of the lead ships, a vessel called Fury of Mumbai. He had lost his wife and 3 children in the orbital strike. He had volunteered for the pilot program knowing the survival rate. He did not care about survival. His ship took a direct hit. Half the hull was torn away. The engines were failing. Any rational person would have tried to escape. Santos aimed his dying ship at the nearest Velthari warship and pushed the engines to maximum. For Mumbai, he said quietly. His ship hit the Velthari vessel at full speed. The explosion tore through the alien hull, killing hundreds of enemy crew. Santos died, but he took them with him. This scene repeated across the battle. Human ships rammed enemy vessels. Human crews detonated their own reactors inside enemy hangars. Pilots with fatal wounds stayed at their controls long enough to complete one final attack run. The Velthari had never seen anything like this. They had fought hundreds of species. All of them had tried to survive. All of them had retreated when the battle turned against them. All of them had valued their own lives. Humans did not retreat. Humans did not seem to value their lives at all. They only valued victory. On the ground, the fighting was even more brutal. Human soldiers captured by Velthari forces activated explosives hidden in their own bodies. Entire squads sacrificed themselves to take out single enemy positions. Cities that could not be liberated were destroyed by their own defenders, denying the enemy any foothold. In Chicago, the Velthari had fortified a position in the ruins of a skyscraper. Human forces could not break through, so they collapsed the entire building, crushing everyone inside, including their own troops who had charged the lower floors as a distraction. In Sao Paulo, a team of engineers detonated a nuclear device beneath a Velthari transport hub. They had been inside the blast radius. They had known this. They pressed the button anyway. The alien commanders could not understand it. They sent reports to Kethvoran filled with confusion and fear. They do not fight like soldiers, one message read. They fight like something else. Something that does not care about death. 12 hours after the counterattack began, every Velthari ground installation on Earth was destroyed. Not captured, destroyed. And so were the cities around them. Humanity had burned its own world to deny it to the enemy. The orbital battle continued. Human losses were terrible. For every Velthari ship destroyed, hundreds of human vessels were lost. But humanity had built hundreds of vessels for exactly this reason. They had expected to lose them. They had planned for it. By the end of the first day, 3 Velthari warships were destroyed. The remaining 9 were damaged. And still, more human ships rose from the dying planet below. Kethvoran stood on his bridge and watched his fleet being torn apart by savages in metal coffins. His elegant, ancient, superior fleet was losing to primitives who did not even have shields. "How is this possible?" he whispered. His tactical officer, bleeding from a wound on his head, answered honestly. "They are not trying to survive, High Arbiter. They are only trying to kill us. We have no strategy against an enemy that does not care about death." In that moment, Keth Varan understood something that the Velthari had never faced before. The humans were not fighting a war. They were executing a revenge, and they would pay any price to complete it. The counterattack was only the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity was truly capable of. The battle lasted 9 hours. When it was over, the Velthari fleet was broken. 8 of the 12 warships had been destroyed completely. 3 more drifted without power, their crews dead or dying. Only the flagship, the Eternal Judgment, remained partially functional, and even it was wounded. Its engines were gone. Its weapons were silent. It hung in orbit above Earth like a beautiful corpse. Keth Voran sat alone on his bridge. His officers were dead. His guards were dead. The lights flickered and failed. Only the emergency systems kept the air flowing. He heard the sound of cutting tools against the hull. The humans were coming. They breached the ship in dozens of places at once. Human soldiers in crude spacesuits, carrying weapons that mixed alien energy with human bullets, poured through the openings. They did not ask for surrender. They did not offer mercy. Every Velthari they found, they killed. Keth Voran tried to run. He made it 3 corridors before they found him. A human woman in a torn spacesuit stood in front of him, her face visible through her cracked helmet. She was young. She had burns on her skin. One of her arms hung useless at her side. "Please," Keth Voran said. It was the first time a High Arbiter of the Velthari had ever begged a lesser species for anything. The woman raised her weapon. "My name is Maria Santos," she said. "My brother died ramming his ship into one of your cruisers. He asked me to deliver a message." She pulled the trigger. When the Eternal Judgment was fully secured, Admiral Chen came aboard. She walked through corridors filled with alien bodies. She did not look away. This was what they had built. This was what they had done. She would not pretend otherwise. They found Keth Varan's body in a corridor near the engine room. Chen looked down at the High Arbiter who had ordered Mumbai's destruction. She felt nothing. Perhaps she would feel something later. Right now, there was work to do. "Prepare the broadcast," she said. Human technicians worked for hours to access the Velthari's communication systems. When they finally succeeded, they had access to every channel the alien fleet had used. Channels that connected to every corner of the galaxy. Admiral Chen stood on the ruined bridge of the Eternal Judgment. Behind her, through the shattered viewport, Earth was visible. It was burning. Entire continents were on fire. The planet that had been humanity's home for millions of years was dying, but it was free. Chen activated the broadcast. She knew that every species in the galaxy would see this. She wanted them to. "My name is Admiral Chen Weilin. I speak for the people of Earth." She paused, letting the words sink in. 6 months ago, the Velthari hegemony invaded our world. They demanded surrender. When we refused, they destroyed one of our cities. 18 million people. They expected us to break. They expected us to bow. Her voice remained calm, steady, cold. We did not break. We did not bow. Instead, we built. We planned. We prepared. And today, we destroyed their entire invasion fleet. Every ship, every soldier, every Velthari that set foot on our world is dead. She gestured, and the image changed. It showed the Velthari flagship. The outer hull had been carved open. Hundreds of Velthari bodies were arranged in rows along the surface, frozen in the vacuum of space. Their faces were visible. Their eyes were open. This is what happens to those who attack Earth. The image changed again. Now it showed Earth itself, burning, ruined, and completely unoccupied. Yes, our planet is damaged. We burned our own cities rather than let them be held by the enemy. We killed our own people rather than let them be used as shields. Do you understand what that means? Chen leaned forward. It means there is nothing we will not sacrifice, nothing we will not destroy, no price we will not pay. The Velthari thought they understood brutality. They were children playing games. We showed them what true brutality looks like. She let silence hang for a long moment. Now, a message for the Velthari hegemony. You killed 18 million of us. We have killed your entire invasion fleet. Do you think we are satisfied? Do you think we will stop here? Her smile was thin and sharp. We have captured your ships. We have studied your technology. We are already building more vessels. Faster, stronger, and they are not meant for defense. In 1 year, we will have a fleet capable of reaching your home world. In 2 years, we will have a fleet capable of destroying it. The broadcast was being watched by billions of beings across the galaxy. On the Velthari homeworld, citizens watched in horror. In the halls of the Galactic Council, ancient species sat in shocked silence. You have 2 choices, Chen continued. You can try to attack us again. Send another fleet. Send 100 fleets. We will destroy them all. We will lose millions of our own people doing it, and we do not care. Every ship you send, we will kill. Every soldier, we will kill. And then we will come for your worlds. She paused. Or you can leave us alone. Forever. Withdraw from our system. Recognize our space. Never return. If you choose this path, we will not pursue you. We do not want your empire. We do not want conquest. We only want to be left in peace. The image returned to Chen's face. But understand this. If any species in this galaxy ever attacks Earth again, we will respond with everything we have. We will not negotiate. We will not accept surrender. We will destroy your entire civilization and salt the ground where your cities stood. This is not a threat. This is simply what we are. She straightened. We are humanity. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And now, the galaxy knows what we are capable of. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, there was silence. The Galactic Council remained frozen in their chamber for hours, unable to speak. The Velthari hegemony began immediate preparations to withdraw from human space. Other species, especially those who had been conquered by the Velthari, watched the broadcast over and over, memorizing every word. A new phrase began to spread through the stars, whispered among slaves, spoken by the oppressed. A phrase that would change the galaxy forever. The humans are coming, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the rulers of the galaxy were afraid. 2 weeks after the battle for Earth, humanity delivered its second message to the galaxy. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of a human warship called the Remembrance. It was one of the newest vessels, built using captured Velthari faster-than-light technology. Behind her, through the viewport, was not Earth but something else entirely. The central station of the Galactic Council, the seat of power for the elder races, the place where the galaxy's fate was decided, and it was surrounded by human ships. 47 vessels had made the journey, not an invasion force, just enough to deliver a message. The Council's defense fleet, over 200 ships strong, had not engaged. They had watched the humans approach and done nothing. They had seen the broadcast from Earth. They knew what these creatures were willing to do. Ambassador Yale of the consortium stood in the council chamber. His 4 hands were trembling. Around him, representatives of 100 species sat in terrified silence. The viewing screens showed the human fleet holding position outside their station. They have made no demands, Yale's aide whispered. They have not attacked. They are simply waiting. Then the screens changed. Admiral Chen's face appeared. Members of the Galactic Council, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. 14 days ago, we destroyed the Velthari invasion fleet. Today, we are here to establish the terms of our existence in this galaxy. Yale found his voice. We had no part in the Velthari's actions. The Council does not. The Council watched. Chen interrupted. The Council saw a species being invaded and did nothing. The Council has always done nothing, while the Velthari conquered world after world. We are not here to punish you for that. We are here to make sure it never happens to us again. She clasped her hands behind her back. We could have destroyed this station. We chose not to. We could have demanded submission, as the Velthari did to others. We are not doing that. We want only one thing, to be left alone. The screen showed a star map. Earth's solar system was highlighted. This is human space. Any ship that enters without permission will be destroyed. No exceptions. No warnings. We will establish trade relationships with species that wish to engage peacefully. We will share technology with those who prove themselves trustworthy. But our territory is ours. Forever. Ambassador Yale raised a trembling hand. And if we agree to these terms, Then we will be neighbors, Chen said. Peaceful neighbors. We have no desire for empire. We do not want to rule over other species. We only want to exist without being threatened. Another council member, a reptilian being from a species called the Dreth, spoke up. His voice was rough from years of slavery under the Velthari. What about the hegemony? They will not accept this. They will come for you again. Chen's smile was cold. Let them come. We have already begun construction on a new fleet. In 1 year, we will have 300 ships. In 5 years, we will have 3,000. The Velthari can choose peace, or they can choose extinction. The decision is theirs. The chamber fell silent again. Then something unexpected happened. The Dreth representative stood. His scales were scarred from years of labor in Velthari mines. His eyes were old and tired, but his voice was strong. For 600 years, my people have served the hegemony, he said. We forgot how to resist. We forgot how to fight. We forgot that freedom was even possible. He turned to face the other representatives. Then we watched the humans. We saw them burn their own world rather than surrender it. We saw them sacrifice millions of their own people to destroy the enemy. We saw them do what no species in 10,000 years has done. Break the Velthari. He looked directly at Admiral Chen's image on the screen. My people wish to ally with humanity, not to serve you, to stand beside you. Will you accept us? Chen was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. The Dreth are welcome in human space. Any species that seeks freedom from the hegemony will find a home with us. Across the council chamber, other representatives began to stand. Species that had been conquered. Species that had been oppressed. Species that had watched the broadcast from Earth and seen something they had forgotten existed. Hope. Within hours, the Galactic Council had agreed to humanity's terms. Human space was recognized. Trade agreements were drafted, and 17 species former subjects of the Velthari hegemony requested asylum in human territory. The Velthari watched all of this from their homeworld. They saw their empire beginning to crumble. Species they had ruled for centuries were now defying them openly. Their fleet was shattered. Their invincible reputation was gone. Some called for another attack on Earth. More ships, more soldiers, overwhelming force. But the admirals who had survived the battle refused. They had seen what the humans were capable of. They had watched their comrades die to enemies who did not care about survival. They knew that any attack would only delay the inevitable. Sooner or later, the humans would come for them. The Velthari chose peace. It was not a willing peace. It was the peace of the defeated. But it was peace. On Earth, the survivors began to rebuild. The planet was scarred. Continents burned. Cities gone forever. Over 200 million humans had died in the counterattack. Soldiers, civilians, everyone who had sacrificed themselves for victory. Admiral Chen stood at the site where Mumbai had once existed. It was a glass crater now, smooth and empty. She held a small flower in her hand, brought from one of the surviving greenhouse shelters. She placed it at the edge of the crater. We will never forget, she said quietly. We will never forget what they did. We will never forget what we did. And we will make sure no one else forgets either. Construction began on a memorial. A wall of names, stretching for kilometers, listing every single person who had died. 18 million from Mumbai. 200 million from the war. Every name remembered. Every sacrifice honored. Years passed. Earth healed slowly. New cities rose from the ashes. Forests grew back. Oceans cleared. And humanity built its fleet. Not for conquest. Not for revenge. For protection, so that no species would ever think of attacking them again. The galaxy changed. The Velthari hegemony collapsed within a decade as their former subjects rose up. The Galactic Council reformed under new leadership that included a human representative. Trade flourished. Peace spread. And among the stars, a new saying became common. When young species asked for advice about war and conquest, the elder races always gave the same answer. You may conquer whoever you wish. You may enslave whatever worlds you find, but never touch Earth. Never threaten humanity. The young species would ask why. Were the humans so powerful? So advanced? The elders would shake their heads. No, the humans are not the strongest. They are not the most advanced. They are not the most numerous. Then what made them so dangerous? The elders would lean close and speak softly. as if afraid the humans might hear, because they are willing to do what no one else will do. They will sacrifice everything, their cities, their lives, their entire world. They will pay any price, cross any line, commit any act of brutality necessary to win, and they will not stop. Ever. The young species would fall silent. Other species fight to survive. The elders would finish. Humans fight to win. And that makes them the most terrifying species in the galaxy. Far away, on a blue planet that had once burned but now bloomed again, humanity watched the stars. They had not asked for war. They had not wanted to become what they became. But they had been pushed too far, and now the galaxy knew. Push humanity. And they pushed back. Harder. Colder. More brutally than anyone could imagine. The counterattack from Earth had left everyone paralyzed. And that was exactly what humanity intended.